What is up, everybody? Welcome back to Season 2, Episode 3 of this edition of Turf Talk. I am one half of your host here, Dylan Davis. You can check me out on Twitter at DylanJD98. And, of course, my co-host to my right, Scotty. Check him out on Twitter as well, at Scotty Drown, as we stream to you guys on DSM Media's Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube channel. So if you're new to the channel, head on over to at DSM_media on Twitter. Hit that follow button. Click the link tree in our bio to take you to every social media platform we are available on. Head on over to our YouTube channel as well if you guys want to be interactive and comment whenever we're live or in the or when this airs this Sunday. Scotty, what's going on, my man?
Not much, man. Just got off work. Ready to talk some NFC North. As Dylan said, this will be airing on Sunday, just our normal typical slot at 10 a.m. Sunday morning. So definitely looking forward to discussing it. This division, let's be honest. And before we at least have like the Aaron Rodgers and the Devontae Adams hype of that duo, but now you look at the Packers, man, there's no wide receiver. There is. He's got some of his guys there, but the division's interesting. I'm looking forward to honestly talking about the Vikings. I'll say that because they're an interesting squad. But let's get into it, man. I'm happy to keep this NFL season going. It feels like we're really starting to get into the rhythm of it. So very excited nonetheless.
Well, June has absolutely flown by. we have 2 days left in June, and then we're on July, and later into the month of July, teams and players will start reporting to camp. So that'll be exciting. And then preseason will be right around the corner. But yeah, guys, so every week we're going to be breaking down each individual division. Last week's episode was the AFC North division. So if you guys haven't checked that out, head on over to our Twitter or YouTube channel. You check that full episode out. And we also did top 10 tight ends in that one. So today we will be moving on to the NFC North. And as Scotty said, a little underwhelming. Not as much drama that this division had last year. Not as much drama as the AFC North has going on right now. The Green Bay Packers, at least offensively, are going to look like a brand new football team as far as their receiving core goes. You mentioned the Vikings, their receiving core and their offensive skill position players. They have a plethora of those, but can you trust Kirk Cousins? We'll get into all that. And then you kind of have the bottom half of this division. I'm not even sure. We have the Cubs and the Bears. I call the Lions the Cubs on this show, but we'll see how this division plays out, Scotty. So before we get into our offensive and defensive breakdowns, I believe you have all the notable additions and deductions of these teams. I feel like a lot more subtractions than additions in this division, but we'll see.
Yes, to say the least here. I have everything written down here, and it will be interesting. You mentioned the bottom half of that of that division, and it is very dismal to say the least. I was looking at some of these rosters. I'm just like, God forbid I have to watch that shit as a fan, but I don't, fortunately. So we'll start with the Lions up in Detroit. So they lost a couple guys. Nickel Roby-Coleman, familiar face from Philly. They cut him. Trey Flowers, they cut him. Those are two notable guys. As far as additions, Gerard Davis, linebacker. Deshaun Elliott, the safety we talked about last week that the Ravens lost. They also drafted Aiden Hutchinson, one of the best defensive edge rushers in the draft. They also were able to draft Jameson Williams, a guy that we were coveting here in Philadelphia for a little while. And then DJ Chark in free agency. They were able to get him on a one-year deal. So they're trying to give Jared Goff some weapons out there. I don't know. These aren't proven weapons, but they're at least a lot more exciting than what they've had.
Young too, man.
With Amon St. Brown. Yeah, exactly. They're young. And then you got DeAndre Swift in the backfield there as well. Jared Goff, I mean, it's hard to say. We'll get into that, though. Packers. We can go to the Packers next. So some of their key losses, I mean, arguably the best wide receiver in football. Cooper Kupp, Devontae Adams down the line. Those are the guys. They also lost Zadarius Smith, who was a top edge rusher for them. Marquez Valdez-Scantling, they lost him. He was another go-to receiver for Aaron Rodgers. Lucas Patrick, one of their starting guards. And then as far as additions, they were able to add Preston Smith, an edge rusher. They added Sammy Watkins, and then I think the biggest move of the offseason was just the fact that Aaron Rodgers didn't retire.
Yeah.
So they retained him. So that's obviously the big note there for the Packers. The Vikings were very busy this offseason, but subtly. So some of their losses, Michael Pierce, he went over to Baltimore. Jordan Shute, Wayne Gallman, backup running back, Dede Westbrook, backup wide receiver, Everson Griffin, Sheldon Richardson, some of those long-standing vets they had, they let them go. But they brought in some guys. So Jordan Hicks, we're very familiar with him. That's a pretty good signing in my eyes to add to their defensive unit. Harrison Phillips, that's a defensive tackle. Zadarius Smith. So they stole Zadarius Smith from the Packers. Shandon Sullivan, I know you may remember him from his Eagles days. Albert Wilson, backup wide receiver. They also added Patrick Peterson at the DB spot. So that's interesting. Going on to the Bears, a lot more subtractions than additions for them. They didn't do much at all this offseason, aside from the draft, my man. So they lost Tyreek Cohen, Eddie Goldman. They also lost Danny Trevathan. So those are just a few of their vets that they've had over the last few years. Allen Robinson obviously went to L.A. Nick Foles, they released him. And then I believe they traded Khalil Mack to the Chargers.
Yeah.
Is that correct? It's to the Chargers, I believe. Yes. And I believe it was for draft comp. Only really notable addition, Byron Pringle from the Chiefs wide receiver.
I can't wait to talk about the Bears, bro. A lot of excitement in Chi-Town.
Oh my goodness! So that's the gist of the transaction history for most of these teams here, or all of these teams here over the offseason. So let's get into it, my man.
What side of the ball you want to start on? We started on the offensive side of the ball last week. Maybe we'll start on the defensive side of the ball this week. Because maybe a little not tougher, but a little closer, especially on the top end than some areas. But let's start with the pass defense, meaning your secondary here in the NFC North. And we'll go down the line 4-1 and see who has the best pass defense in this division. At number 4, Scotty, who do you got?
I actually have the Lions here.
Really?
It was tough for me. Because they're young and they do have some talent there in their secondary, and I won't deny them that. It was really between them and the Bears for me. Ultimately, I went with the Bears over them just because of some of their long-standing vets that they do have there. So I guess in that case, I'm kind of going vets over youth in a sense. But obviously, I love Eddie Jackson. I love the pass rusher Robert Quinn, obviously off the edge. You throw in a Jalen Johnson who significantly improved last year. So I like what the Bears have going on there in the secondary. They obviously need to get a little younger. So I could end up eating my words here, and maybe the Lions end up with the better secondary, as far as the unit they got. I love Jeff Okudah. I believe he got injured early in the season last year, so it's hard to know what you're going to get from him. Deshaun Elliott, he's a solid safety that they got from the Ravens, so I do like that. Tracy Walker III, I was hearing some rumblings about him last year, so we'll see what he does this season. But I am going with the Lions at the 4 spot there, man.
So then just to jump ahead slightly, I'm going to guess you have the Bears at number 3.
Yeah. They got the Bears.
So I'm with you. I think you're going to see a common trend here, people. Bottom 3 and 4, top 1 and 2 in this division. I agree with you. Not that the Bears have a great advantage here in the secondary, but I do agree with the fact that the Lions are incredibly young back there. When you bring up Jeff Okudah, number 3 overall or 4 overall, 3 years ago, I think he was number 3. Has battled injuries. I think he was out for a majority of last season. He's still listed as questionable, so it's probably going to linger on into this year. Deshaun Elliott, I do like that addition as well, but outside of that, I can't put you any higher than number 4 if you're big. If I'm okay on your one safety. When you look at the Bears, Eddie Jackson and Jaquan Brisker as your safeties, I really like that tandem in them.
Yeah.
what are you going to do on the outside? So I agree. And just to skip ahead, yeah. So I have the Lions at number 4 and I have the Bears at number 3. It's pretty simple here. You have two really good defenses, or one really good defense, a good defense in this division, and then you have two really bad defenses in this division. So that's where I'm at with these secondaries. I think I had seen a stat that the Lions defensively on both, their secondary and pass rush, but more so their secondary, were bottom 5 or bottom 10 in every statistical category defensively last season. So yeah, I don't see how they're going to be much higher than number 4 in any facet defensively right now. But that's where I'm at.
I just looked it up while you were going through that there, and Jeff Okudah's coming off a torn Achilles.
Right. Yeah. So, yeah.
God, that's brutal.
Right. So who knows? Listen, I know an Achilles is a lot easier to come back from nowadays than
these days.
Used to be. Still, you have no idea. Ask Sidney Jones, ask Eagles fans. We all thought, he can bounce back, and he's in the league, but he is not the Sidney Jones that we were expecting out of Washington when we took a flyer on him in the second round. So bouncing back after that is really tough, especially missing such an important season early on in your career with no help around you. Yes, I really did like the Jeff Okudah pick at the time. He's got to come off battling back from this injury with little to no help from the rest of his teammates, from the rest of the secondary. Yeah. He's going to get picked on. They're all going to get picked on. Week 1's going to be fun, I hope.
Yeah, now that we're talking about the Lions, my goodness, I just realized that when you said it. No, I tend to agree, and it's like, what do? Do you put Jeff Okudah on the number 1s of the opposing team?
You're going to have to.
Just throw him out there on the island.
Right. Hey, bud, welcome back from surgery. You go guard A.J. Brown.
or Devontae Smith. Get mixed up either way, my man. No, nonetheless, yeah. So 3, we agree. So Lions, then the Bears at number 3. Number 2 for me, I'm pretty sure we are gonna agree on this, but maybe you'll prove me wrong. I am going number 2, Minnesota. So I think the Vikings have the second best secondary in the division. And don't get me wrong, I do like a lot of what they're doing there. They got Patrick Peterson. They picked him up this year. Harrison Smith, obviously, he's been a Pro Bowl safety for a while. Lewis Sign, I don't know a lot about him.
Right?
They got a couple different names there in that free safety role, so they're probably going to be trying out a few different things there.
Oh, that's right. They drafted Andrew Booth Jr. too.
Yeah, Andrew Booth Jr., that backup DB. Wow. So Cameron Dantzler, he's a lengthy corner who I like, but then also Andrew Booth Jr., who was pretty highly renowned in this year's draft there. And then you got Shannon Sullivan. I know he's not a huge name that they added in the offseason, but at least some depth there. He was solid last year. I believe he was on the Packers last year. Yeah. So he was solid for them. But this really comes down to the Packers. I mean, they just got a good mixture of experience with talent there in the secondary. And, it even goes down to their third corner, which, we can relate to this with Rasul Douglas, who has really found his spot in Green Bay. But you got Eric Stokes. They drafted him, I believe, last year, so he'll be in his second year, hopefully getting his experience right. Jair Alexander, he's one of the better corners in the NFL, and I believe they just extended him. And then the safety spots, I'll let you take it from here, but yeah, I like the Packers the most as far as secondary and pass defense overall in this division.
Yeah, I agree with you. I had the Vikings 2, the Packers 1 in terms of pass defense and in their secondary. I really like what Minnesota has done on paper throughout this offseason. They've addressed a lot of issues. Patrick Peterson's obviously another year older, but he can still play. Harrison Smith, heavy hitter, strong safety. Lewis Cine, Andrew Booth Jr. I completely forgot they even drafted him, and right now he's listed as a backup. So we'll see what happens there. But in terms of Green Bay, and we'll get to their pass rush and their front 7 in a minute, but just for both, this defense is so good. This Green Bay Packers team is a lot different than it's been in years past. They've been building this defense up for the last 2 or 3 years now, right? But it's a finished product now to where Aaron Rodgers and the offense are not the strong point of this team.
Yeah.
their defense is the better side of the ball on this team as of right now. And to me, they're definitely a top 5 defense in my mind. They might even be top 3 or 4 all around. And specifically, in their secondary. And like you mentioned, the safeties, Adrian Amos and Darnell Savage,
Yeah.
they've just got guys all across the board, man. They're going to be really good. And you're just not beating that.
Playmakers.
Minnesota, you can add Andrew Booth Jr., you can bring in Patrick Peterson, you can do what you want. On paper, for me, you do not have a better secondary than the Green Bay Packers.
Agreed. And they just have playmakers at every level. I mean, even Rashawn Gary at the linebacker spot. I mean, you mentioned it. They've been kind of stacking up slightly and kind of behind the scenes the last few years. While they lose to Darius Smith, you bring in Preston Smith. You have Kenny Clark in there. So I mean,
Andre Campbell,
you got a ton to work with there, and I just expect them to keep on growing. Like we just mentioned, Eric Stokes in his second season. I mean, he's going to grow as a corner. So that, like you said, that's going to be the strong suit of the Packers this year. Just as I take a quick glimpse, I have to remind myself who they're working with on offense. Aside from Aaron Rodgers and the running back core there. But, I think the defense is going to be the calling card for the Packers this year.
Listen, man, I want to speed up this defensive side of the ball part because I can't talk about it too much. This division's killing me right now. So we're going to not rapid fire, but we're going to run through 1 through 4 and get through this.
Yeah,
get
I got you.
Side of the ball. At number 4, this is tough, man. I don't know who I really give the edge to. Obviously, the Aiden Hutchinson addition, Michael Brockers with Detroit. Obviously, the Chicago Bears still have Roquan Smith and Robert Quinn. I guess maybe I'd give the front 7 edge a little bit to Chicago. So I'd go Lions 4, Bears 3. And then the front 7, again, I really like what Minnesota did in this offseason. Obviously, you still have Danielle Hunter, Eric Hendricks, Jordan Hicks, Darius Smith. I really like their linebackers. You're not better than the Green Bay Packers. You are not better than Kenny Clark, than Jerron Reed, Preston Smith, Devondre Campbell, Quay Walker, Rashawn Gary. They're too loaded. So my front 7, my pass rush, my run stopping defenses go Packers 1, Vikings 2, Bears 3, Lions 4.
Gotcha. So mine's very simple. I got the Lions 4, Bears 3. And I'm not going to put too much into thought. You can change them however you want at the bottom there if you want.
Exactly.
The Packers and Vikings, I do have the Packers second. I actually do like Minnesota's linebackers just a little bit more. It may just be a preference thing. I do love Zadarius Smith, that addition, but you take it from, Green Bay and then you put Preston Smith on Green Bay. So it's like you interchange them. Jordan Hicks, I do love him. That mix with Eric Kendricks there. So those will be 2 very nice coverage linebackers. Overall, just getting in between the cracks, finding the seams. Eric Kendricks is great at that, but they're also great in pass coverage. So I do like this linebacking core. And then Danielle Hunter also coming off the edge, and then Dalvin Tomlinson holding down the nose tackle. You are correct though. Green Bay is completely stacked as well. So to be transparent, I love both of these defenses as a whole, Minnesota and Green Bay. I think they both will have top 10-ish, type of defenses. I would think Green Bay is going to be a little bit better. But I would say, anywhere from that top 10, top 15 range, I think Green Bay is going to be a top 10 defense. So,
all right, man. Well, let's get into
keep it moving.
let's get into the offensive side of the ball. This one's going to be a little more interesting,
a little more fun. Yeah.
A lot more names. Obviously, when you see what Detroit did in this offseason, a lot of young guys, but when you bring in DJ Chark and you draft Jameson Williams, you already have TJ Hawkinson, who we talked about the other day on our top 10 list. And Ross St. Brown had a great year last year. Yeah. Even Josh Reynolds is still there as well. DeAndre Swift, Jamal Williams. Pay homage to my guy, Craig Reynolds, in Detroit. Their big issue is the quarterback position, and that's where we'll get to in a little bit. But let's start with the rushing attack for these teams first. I think this is the toughest category for me, man, because at least running back wise, there's a guy on each team. Like David Montgomery is a workhorse. I really like what he does there. DeAndre Swift is a little shiftier, but can also pack a punch. Battled injuries, very young for Detroit, but I see the upside. People love him specifically in terms of fantasy football. When you talk about Dalvin Cook, you could be talking about the best running back in football at times. He's probably definitely top 5 if he can stay healthy. You got to watch, but you have to make sure that Minnesota's offensive line is there. And then when you come to the total package, when you put Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon in that backfield together with, next to Aaron Rodgers behind that offensive line of the Green Bay Packers, I might give the edge there. So at number 4, we can run down one by one this time. This one, man, this is tough. I think for now, I'm going to go Lions 4. I really, really like the upside of DeAndre Swift. The offensive line scares me. And I've seen the Bears be able to run the football with David Montgomery in years past. So for right now, I'm going to go Lions 4, Bears 3.
Gotcha. Yeah, it is tough. It is tough because I don't trust really either of their. I don't trust either of their offensive lines.
Right. Now, another X factor you can throw in with the Chicago Bears is Justin Fields can also give a little bit of that dual threat option type of offense, so he could be factored in there as well.
Yeah, and I think that's ultimately what I took into mind here whenever I made these rankings, because I do have the Lions 4th. I was just taking a look at their offensive line. I do like the right side of it with Vitae and Penny Seal. And then they do got Taylor Decker on the left side. They still got a lot of room to grow there, though. And, I mean, it's not to say that the Chicago Bears is that much better.
No. The Chicago Bears aren't that much better than anything.
Yeah, exactly. And I think you add Justin Fields to that mix. It makes him a little more dynamic. With that being said, I would take DeAndre Swift over David Montgomery. I think he's
me too.
Yeah, so I'm with you. I think Lions 4, Bears 3, just that Justin Fields factor. And like you said, the Bears actually were able to run the football last year. The Lions,
I know Swift battled injuries, but still
he battled, but still they had no. It was almost at times they forgot about the run in a sense. So.
Well, that's what happens when you're down 47. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. They were competitive. You'll be surprised when I talk about them later on in this episode. But I'm interested to see who you have 1-2, dude, because this one's tough. When I think Minnesota's offensive line is fine, but I like Green Bay's better. Minnesota has the better running back overall. Green Bay has a duo of guys that can hit you with. So who do you got at 2?
Yeah, I got the Vikings at number 2. With Dalvin Cook. Yeah, like you hit all the points there. Dalvin Cook, I like Alexander Madison. He's great, if Dalvin Cook misses a week. But once you get in, Dalvin Cook usually misses 2 to 3 weeks in a spurt at some point throughout the season. And then you got to use Alexander Madison as like your heavy dose running back. So I like that duo. Their offensive line, like you said, it's solid. They have Christian Darrisaw. I know they drafted him a little while ago. Garrett Bradbury's kind of held it down in the middle there, but ultimately I'm just leaning more towards the Green Bay Packer offensive line. But mostly that duo, that lightning thunder kind of punch they have going there with AJ Dillon and Aaron Jones. And Aaron Jones also gets involved in the passing game, which I know that doesn't necessarily come into effect for the offense, but just as far as the dynamic ability of Aaron Jones. So I tend to lean Green Bay number 1 in the rushing offense and Vikings number 2. And I think Green Bay is going to be a lot more reliant on it this season as well.
That's a fantastic point. I think Matt LaFleur kind of ran the ball a little more last season than in previous years overall. And that was with Devontae Adams still on this team. That was with Valdez-Scantling still on this team, who they don't have anymore. So I think they definitely are going to be more reliant on the rushing attack, and maybe that's better at this point. Aaron Rodgers, if you can have a successful run game with a successful defense in Green Bay, and you still have Aaron Rodgers playing at MVP level, Green Bay is going to be right back in the same picture they're always in. Hopefully they don't run into the 49ers in the first round again, and we'll see what happens. But I completely agree with you. Moving on to the passing attack. It's interesting, dude. I feel like this has the most meat here of these four categories, because you look at the one team in the Chicago Bears, second year guy in Justin Fields, high upside for a lot of people, little to maybe no weapons, little to no help for the kid in Chicago. So we'll see there. The Lions, you talk about a young plethora of weapon with quarterback issues. I'm not a Jared Goff guy, never have been, even when he led his team to the Super Bowl. And he's just kind of declined ever since. You had the Vikings with probably a top 5 wide receiver in a young Justin Jefferson, next to an Adam Thielen, with a KJ Osborne down the seam. You have Kirk Cousins issues. And then you go to Green Bay, where you have maybe the best quarterback in all of football, top 3 arguably, always going to be in the MVP conversation, but now you lose the best wide receiver in football. You lose their number 2 in Valdez-Scantling. So they're down to their number 3 with an aging Sammy Watkins they brought in. So a lot of things have changed in this division. Some teams have wide receiver issues. Some teams have quarterback issues. I'll throw it to you if you want to go 4 and 3 at the same time. I'm interested to see where you're going here.
Yeah, this one was tough for me, believe it or not, at the bottom here, just because the Bears, I think I like Justin Fields more than Jared Goff, but I definitely like the Lions' weapons way more than the Bears, and I ultimately think that's going to come to fruition. Just when you look at the Lions' offensive weapons, they really did add some talent in there. You talk about all the guys that you mentioned, Amon St. Brown, DJ Chark, Jamison Williams,
and not to cut you off, but what's interesting on Monday when we did our top 10 rankings, and we were very big on TJ Hawkinson, and the one reason he was down a little bit on the list is because of who's getting him the ball. But remember, with other guys within Darren Waller and within Travis Kelce, we mentioned what's around them. Will it open things up to get things away from them? This is a perfect example. I completely had forgotten that they brought in DJ Chark and drafted Jamison Williams next to Amon-Ra St. Brown. So this could open up everything for TJ Hawkinson in terms of being a top tier tight end in this league.
Yeah, and I think it also, you talked about DeAndre Swift in the rushing part. He's another guy that can catch the ball out of the backfield. Right. They got Jamal Williams back there, who was on the Packers a few years ago. So they got weapons. They got talented guys back there, and they're going to be able to compete with those guys. It is just going to come down to Jared Goff making or not making mistakes. And we know he's going to make them, and that's why the Lions won't be very good,
especially week 1.
Yeah, week 1, I'm counting on it for sure. But I don't know what 2 years ago he torched us. He had Cooper Kupp though. He had the best wide receiver, one of the best in the game. But yeah, I'm going Bears 4 here. I hate what they put around Justin Fields. What are
you doing as an organization? What are they doing?
Last night was the first I've looked at their, just their
depth chart,
skill players. And I see why I haven't looked at them, because there's nothing to really look at. I mean, obviously Darnell Mooney is catching a lot of speed. He's catching a lot of hype, but part of that has to factor in. He's all that they got. They brought in St. Brown from the Packers as a backup wide receiver. That you got Dante Pettis. You got Tajay Sharp, Byron Pringle, who made a little bit of noise for the Chiefs last year. He's playing with Patrick Mahomes,
Simba.
Of course. You got who?
Dude, I don't know. They have Simba Webster. I have no idea who it is. They have Daz Newsome. They have Velus Jones Jr. They have Equanimous St. Brown.
Yeah.
Who the hell are these guys?
Velus Jones Jr. Cole Kmet's solid tight end, but I mean, when you have the lack of weapons around guys like that, it just makes it incredibly hard. You want Darnell Mooney, everybody, I know, especially in fantasy land, people are counting on Darnell Mooney to be like this wide receiver 1 for them. He's going to have number 1 corners going against him the entire season, man. And he's a second-year player.
Ain't no number 1 in fantasy, in the NFL, in nothing. I'm sorry. Ain't happening.
They lost Allen Robinson, and they never replaced him with anybody of quality.
No.
And once again, what are you doing?
It's a shame.
For your young quarterback?
It's a shame for Justin Fields, because
they blamed it on Matt Nagy.
Yeah, dude. And, and I think Nagy's definitely an
Part of it.
issue, but still, we sit here as Eagles fans and we have trouble grading our young quarterback on what's around him and the play calling and what he can do with his arm and his legs and everything. What the hell are are Bears fans supposed to deal with right now? Like, really, dude, Soldier Field is going to be depressing.
Yeah, you hope that one of these guys will make a name for themselves. That's what it's going to come down to. And a lot of times it doesn't work out the best. No. But here we are. What do you got, man?
I completely agree with you. And I'm not even the biggest Justin Fields guy. I just feel really bad for the kid. He has no help. I'm not a Jared Goff guy at all. If I was building a team, I would take Justin Fields over Jared Goff most likely. But I've seen Jared Goff. I've seen Jared Goff in the Super Bowl. I've seen things before. And then you add in the totality of the weapons around them. It's not even close. Like to think that the Detroit Lions skill position players blow another team out of the water is mind-numbing to me. That should never be said, and that's how poor the Chicago Bears are being ran right now. But yeah, I have the Bears at 4. I have the Lions at 3. Not a Jared Goff guy, but you look at this depth chart, and they could potentially be fun. Like DJ Chark is someone we as Eagles fans we're looking at targeting this year. Jameson Williams, we as Eagles fans, we're looking at drafting this year. Amon-Ra St. Brown exploded on the scene last year. Even Josh Reynolds made plays last year for them. And then you add in a tight end that could potentially be top 5 or higher if he's able to get the ball productively. Jared Goff should have no issues this year. He will, but he shouldn't. So
we've been here before.
That's my 4 and 3. I'm interested to see where you go 1 and 2. I already have mine, but this is a balance of quarterback versus help, just like we had this past time with 3 and 4. But I can't find myself to put them up there, but I'll see what you have.
Yeah, man. I think I may go against you here, but I got the Packers number 2.
Wow, and
I got the Vikings number 1, man. And
go ahead, let me hear it.
Part of it does come down to the skill positions. I think also I don't think that Kirk Cousins is that bad. I don't think that he's definitely up over obviously Goff and Justin Fields, but I would put Kirk Cousins in that top 15 quarterback range in the top half of quarterbacks in the NFL starting wise. But it really does come down to Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen, and KJ Osborne. You can throw the tight end in there, Irv Smith Jr. He can catch the ball, but it's really about these guys on the outside. And Justin Jefferson, I think this is the conversation that's going to get really interesting when we start doing our wide receiver rankings. Is where does Justin Jefferson fall? I think he's a top 5 wide receiver off the top of my head. And then you throw in Adam Thielen, you got a plethora of weapons. But really, let's look at the Packers, man. I know it's Aaron Rodgers. I know that you're gonna try to point to the Aaron Rodgers versus Kirk Cousins here, but I'm telling you that the weapons have to come into effect eventually, man. We'll see if Aaron Jones can help him out of the backfield in that passing game. And hopefully, for Aaron Rodgers' sake, maybe Sammy Watkins, right? Maybe Sammy Watkins can step up to the plate. Alan Lazard, Amari Rodgers, he was a guy at Clemson that was a pretty solid player. Christian Watson is slated to start as a wide receiver 2 for them right now. He's a rookie wide receiver out of North Dakota State. Carson Wentz's very own right there. That's what Aaron Rodgers is working with. I'm not working with that over what the Vikings are working with. And I think, we'll talk about where these teams finish. I think it's going to come down to the wire between the Vikings and the Packers overall here. But just passing game wise, I do have Vikings number 1.
It's interesting. All right. So you said I would point to Kirk Cousins and Aaron Rodgers. You're 100% correct. And you bring up the fact that at some point, what the help has to come into play, right? It has to be a factor. And yes, I agree with you. We just discussed that with the Bears and the Lions. The help has to come into play when we're talking about Justin Fields. The help has to come into play when we're talking about Jared Goff. Hell, the help has to come into play when we're talking about Kirk Cousins, who I agree with you. I don't think he's that bad. He's going to put up numbers. He's got an arm. He's just going to turn the ball over a lot. They're probably going to be around a 500 team and whatever, right? In no way, shape, or form, with comparing an Aaron Rodgers-led team and a Kirk Cousins-led team, can I put Kirk Cousins and his team above Aaron Rodgers? Because like I said, the help comes into play when it's those guys. It doesn't matter who's around them. Yes, I agree with you. It matters in terms of winning in the playoffs. What's he going to be able to do in the playoffs? I get all that. The great ones get it done.
Yeah.
And he's going to get it done. He's probably going to he's not going to put up MVP type numbers, but he's going to put up numbers. Now, if there was one, I put a lot of different categories into each category. Like I have personnel, winning, statistics, turnover rates to touchdown, like all that kind of stuff goes into my categories for me. So I agree with you for the fact that probably Minnesota might put up better numbers in the passing game. Like overall, they're going to have more receiving yards per game. They're going to have more passing yards per game. I can see all that. So they might be a little bit more explosive, I guess. But in terms of a passing attack, if I'm an opposing team, I'd rather play Kirk Cousins and the Minnesota Vikings than play Aaron Rodgers.
I don't know if I can say that, man. I really don't know if I can say that. I don't know. That's tough, man. It's close. It's close. I don't mean it
you gotta put some respect on one of the GOAT's names, bro.
Bro, I respect it, but I have to draw a line somewhere. I'm just looking, and I know it's not all numbers. I get your point. Because Kirk Cousins' numbers aren't far behind what Aaron Rodgers were last season.
They're going to put up numbers. I get it.
Even had an MVP caliber season for Aaron Rodgers. He had more completions. He had more attempts as well. He had more yards. He had more a little lower completion percentage. 4 less touchdowns, so 33 touchdowns, 7 interceptions for Cousins, 37-4 for Rodgers. So I mean, it's really close numbers wise. I get your point. I know what you mean because Kirk Cousins is that guy. You could almost compare him to like a Tony Romo of back in the day, where they'll put up these like gaudy numbers, and he does. He puts up gaudy numbers sometimes. Look at the weapons he has, of course, just like Tony Romo had. But once you get down to the end of that game, you get to crunch time.
Yeah, bro.
And who's going to throw that pick that you need? And it's Kirk Cousins, my man. He only had 7 last year, but I'm sure all 7 of them cost him significantly.
Like another thing that would go into ready. Game on the line. My team's down 4. I need a game-winning drive. 2-minute drill. Am I taking Aaron Rodgers with the shell of Sammy Watkins and 42-year-old Randall Cobb? Or am I taking Kirk Cousins with the young guns and Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen? I'm taking A-Rod.
I mean, I get your point. I do. At the end of the day, I'm taking A-Rod over Kirk Cousins.
Right.
I just don't know if I'm taking that passing offense over the Vikings passing offense as a whole.
I mean, that
I get your point.
Led down the field.
I get your point. It's ultimately it comes down to just a few differences there, and I'm not going to sit here and tell you that Kirk Cousins is like going to play at the level of Aaron Rodgers. He's not. I'm not saying that.
Now? Let me ask you a question, fantasy football wise.
Yeah,
Kirk Cousins higher than Aaron Rodgers this year?
He might be, man. I don't know.
Like that I can get behind a little bit.
It depends what Aaron Rodgers, what is he saying to the Packers? Like, what does he want to do with the offense this year? You know what I mean? Because if I'm looking at the Packers offense, I'm running the fucking ball, man. Like, I'm running
They're going to D up. They're going to run the ball, and he's going to be Aaron Rodgers.
And he's going to pick his spot.
They're going to win games.
He's going to pick
I honestly think they can get by with Aaron Rodgers averaging 225, 235 passing yards a game.
With their defense, that's kind of how they've, flipped the script here.
How many games this year is Rodgers going to throw for 320 plus, 300 plus? To who? Trust me, I get you on that side, but
maybe they'll catch us sleeping. The only caveat that I'll give to the Packers here, and it is impartial to Aaron Rodgers as well, is that one of these guys could end up looking like the next Davante Adams with the way Aaron Rodgers can turn these guys out. So If and when Aaron Rodgers is still playing at the level that he generally plays at, which is an MVP level, there's a solid chance he could turn in an Alan Lazard or a Christian Watson or a Sammy Watkins into, a top wide receiver. Maybe not Sammy Watkins, maybe not the shell of him, but just as far as one of these young guys building a connection and really building them up. You never know. It happened with Devontae Adams. Who saw Devontae Adams really coming at the level that he's at now?
Very true.
We'll see. And we'll also get to see Devontae Adams in Las Vegas. We'll see if he's able to
100%. Was Devontae Adams because of Aaron Rodgers, or was Aaron Rodgers what he was doing? Now, obviously, we know there was an Aaron Rodgers, a great Super Bowl winning Aaron Rodgers before Devontae Adams.
Right.
But would Aaron Rodgers be putting up the numbers, etc., without this Devontae Adams now? But let's get into not record predictions, but like we said, how we think this division is going to play out come playoff time next year. Then we'll get into our fantasy draft segment and we'll wrap this episode up. At number 4, I got to go with the Chicago Bears. They are one of the worst ran organizations, it looks like right now. Justin Fields has no help. Rookie head coach now, right? That who's in now?
I honestly don't know. I'm going to look it up for you really quick.
Hold on.
Matt Eberflus. So I believe that is the Colts defensive coordinator from last year.
Okay.
So Matt Eberflus.
Very interesting. Very interesting.
You'd have thought they would have went with like a more of
you know what his name goes with? A 4th place team. That's what his name goes with. Chicago Bears are number 4. At number 3 are the Detroit Lions. I like what they did offensively. Don't trust Jared Goff, but what I will say is, dude, he has them playing competitive all last year. I can't even think of his name at the moment. Was talking about biting kneecaps and doing all this weird stuff. They were competitive all year long, even though they won like one game or two, however many games they won. So I do think they're going to be competitive again this year. I think they're actually going to score some points this year. I just think they're going to get a lot of points scored on them this year.
Yeah.
At number 2, I think this is where we're going to disagree. I had the Minnesota Vikings. Do I think it'll be close throughout the year? Yeah, but again, even with Rodgers losing these weapons, they're really good defensively. They're going to run the shit out of the ball. He's still Aaron Rodgers. I think the Packers are still going to go 11-6, 12-5, somewhere in that area. I don't see the Vikings getting to 11 or 12 wins. I'm not sure I see them as a 10-win team. I think the Vikings are around that 9-8, maybe 10-7 area. So I know one game doesn't sound too far off, but I think by the time the Packers have it wrapped up, the Vikings will be 2-3 games behind them at the end of the year. So I have the Vikings 2, Packers 3.
Gotcha. Yeah. No, I think it's a good point there. Putting lines over the Bears, because if you just look at them from an overall standpoint, the Lions have more stability. They have more, better, more promising young talent. I mean, the Lions organization, it looks like a better organization than the Bears. And, maybe 5 or so years.
They're trying to do something.
Said that. Yeah, they've turned Matthew Stafford. They traded him out to LA, and they've really, tried to turn it around here. And kudos to them. It looks promising. They look like they can compete. It's just not there yet, which there's a lot of teams like that. But I have the Bears rounding out anywhere from like a 4-13 type of record to a 5-12. I would max them out at like 5 wins, and that's if at some point Justin Fields gets it going. The Lions, I have them around the same area, 5-12, 6-11 type of record. I think they take some steps this year, get maybe 5 wins, 6 wins. That's a good season for the Lions after last year,
100%,
to say the least. Number 2, surprise. I got the Vikings for you, man. I do.
Wow.
I do have them at around the 10-7 or so. I do have them getting the 10 wins. And then I have the Packers at around 11 wins, 11-6, maybe 12 wins. I think it's going to come down to those matchups week to week. I think we saw them split with the Vikings last year.
Yeah, I think they'll split.
Vikings need to win both of those games against Green Bay if they want to win the division. I don't have that happening, so that's why you're seeing the record the way it is. But very, very vague records, obviously. It's more about the placement, I would say. So
Right.
Vikings 2, Packers number 1. I'm not taking Aaron Rodgers off the throne yet. I think they may have flipped the script, and they started flipping it last year with becoming a great defensive team, a run-heavy team. They work in the cold. It's cold as hell up at Lambeau Field and when it gets late in the season. And I think they can just kind of ride that wave, and I think they're going to do that. That's why we saw them move Devontae Adams, because they're just going to run the football. They're going to rely on their defense, and they're going to have Aaron Rodgers who can pick his spots with the best of them as far as throwing the ball. So still got the Packers up there. I'm with you, man. It was just a passing offense. I'm not jumping the gun too far here, but no, I got Packers number 1.
It's definitely going to be a competitive division. Is that a sense? Does that make sense?
I say that, and then
competitive within the division, maybe. Right, exactly. Like Green Bay's going to go 5-1 within this division if they split with Minnesota.
I think the Bears. I think the Bears are the weak link. I think the Lions. They're not going to be close to 10 wins.
I think the Lions at least have a culture.
They have a culture. They have Dan Campbell, who you mentioned earlier, bites kneecaps and stuff.
Right,
so
right.
they got a toughness they can
build.
They
want to play for him. Remember when they won that one game when Goff threw the game-winning touchdown and they were like crying together? Like, they want to win for him.
They do. They do.
I don't think Chicago has that at all. So
I don't like what Chicago has going on at all.
Unless this new head coach can come in here and completely change the culture like Dan Campbell did, but I don't see it. Scotty, let's get into the second half of this show and get to our NFC North fantasy draft. So
it's gonna be tough.
Listen, man, I think some people I'm doing this off of personnel. I'm not doing this off of fantasy projection.
Right.
I think you did as well. I think some people were viewing this as fantasy football. It's kind of hard to do fantasy football when we're drafting safeties and linebackers, and we're not thinking defenses. We're drafting by the better players within this division and see who come up with a better roster, so to speak.
Exactly.
If you want to take in fantasy football, that's fine with me. But this is what we're doing. So you had the first pick last week. I'll have the first pick today, and then next show you'll take the first pick, so on and so forth throughout this summer. And listen, man, apparently, according to my Twitter peeps, I lost because of one key area. I'm not going to make that mistake again. So I'm taking the MVP first.
So you think you lost? I feel like I lost, man. I do, because everybody was telling me. It was like Lamar or die last week. Like,
really?
I took Burrow, and everybody was coming at my fucking. It was on TikTok, so it may be a different audience,
different platform. You are still leading the Twitter poll. Comments on Twitter have leaned you.
Really?
Fellow DSM Jason leaned me. I think Kata and Phil leaned you. So
it was close. You had me beat skill positions. QBs are close. I'm a Joe Burrow guy.
I agree with you.
I know you are as well. I think the defense, my secondary, is kind of what saved me and kept it balanced, because your skill positions were way better.
Yeah, but I had to go there, dude. I cannot play second fiddle at the quarterback position.
I feel that, and I'm gonna have to play that role today. I'm gonna get clowned for having Kirk Cousins. I'm not going him right now, but I'll leave that one in the chamber. I'm gonna go Justin Jefferson here.
Oh, okay.
Save my tail a little bit here.
I tell you something.
What?
I have no idea where to go now.
I'm with you, man. We're
like, who is the next best player in this division?
Like, it's probably
like,
you know what? Running back, but
no, but I'm going to save that. I think I'm going to go Jair Alexander.
I like that pick. I like that pick a lot. That that is probably the second best play. I do think so, though. Honestly, I'm gonna go Harrison Smith here.
Okay, let me get the safety lined up. My eyes are all messed up.
See how that works out for me.
It is interesting. So right here, I'm gonna go Zadarius Smith.
Okay, Zadarius Smith. I like that pick as well.
And I just typed my last two guys in the wrong spot.
So let me see here. So I've got Harrison Smith and I've got Justin Jefferson.
This division is tough.
Yeah, my God. I'm going to go. I am going to go Kenny Clark, defensive tackle, nose tackle from Green Bay. It's going to get scarce so fast, man.
Dude, I know, man. Like, what the hell?
So we need 2 defensive tackles, 2 edges, 2 linebackers, 2 safeties, and 2 corners. I might have to dip in that corner bag here soon.
And you know what? I think I'm going to tag up on the Smiths. I'm going to go Preston Smith.
I like that. I was definitely looking at him last time. So you took Preston Smith. I need to go corner here, I think. No, you know what? I think I'm going to be beat on corner no matter what. I think I am going to go. I'm going to go Eddie Jackson, free safety from Bears.
All right. I am going to go Amon-Ra St. Brown.
I like it. I will go.
I did not want to lose him to you and then be stuck with a bunch of number 2s and 3s.
I feel that. Let me go Jordan Hicks here. I'm going to take Jordan Hicks at the linebacker spot.
All right. You know what? I think I'm going to do it. I think I'm going to take Dalvin Cook. Yeah.
So what? I need a corner. I need one more linebacker, one more defensive tackle. Need 2 defensive ends.
Oh, boy, that's going to be fun.
Ain't it? Oh my goodness. Let me go ahead. Let me grab Robert Quinn here.
Backer or end?
Let me see. I might have.
What's
he
he
is
going?
listed as right defensive end on ESPN, at least.
Robert Quinn. All right. Where the hell? You know what? I know I'm loading up, dude, but I'm going to go TJ Hawkinson.
That's a good pick. That's a solid pick. I actually forgot. That's a really good pick right there. I did. I forgot about it the last time too, and I should have took Mark Andrews when I had the chance, but it's all good. Okay, let's finish out.
My D line's gonna suck, dude.
I know. I think I'm like trying to work on it, and I still think it's gonna suck. Let me go ahead. I'm gonna grab Michael Brockers for my other defensive tackle spot.
Okay. Where am I going now? Oh my god. I guess. Wait, did you take him already? You
Who?
did. Oh, Kenny Clark. Duh. I guess I'm gonna go Dalvin Tomlinson.
Yeah, that's who was like next on my list of nose tackles.
All right.
I'm gonna go Jalen Johnson from the Bears at corner. Nice young corner.
Jalen Johnson. All right. Do I take the upside here, dude? Defensive end. I think I'm going to go with the Rook.
Aiden Hutchinson. Yeah, I was looking at him as well. That's a solid pick. So let me go ahead. Who do I want for wide receiver 2?
I know.
It's like Adam Thielen. You know what I mean? Like I think Adam Thielen is who I'm gonna go with, but like I really, really like Jamison Williams. And I'm
Going
gonna
with
have
Thielen?
no, you know what? I'm gonna go with Jamison Williams. Add some speed on there, man. And the main I just don't want to have that whole goddamn Vikings offense.
I know.
Because I'm gonna have to take Kirk Cousins at some point.
I think I'm going to go with Adrian Amos here.
That's a good one. Yeah.
All right, so I need another safety, another corner, and then an end and a tackle. So 4 picks left, and you should have 5, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. So you have 5
corner.
picks.
Okay, so can go corner or defensive lineman here. Need an edge rusher. Which is not much left. I'm gonna go with a corner. This one's tough, man, because I want to lean Amani from Detroit. Yeah, I'm gonna go Amani Oruwari, if you can spell that.
Thanks,
he's their corner opposite from Jeff Okuda. You want me to read it to you?
Yeah, I would love that.
Yes. ORU.
Yep.
WARIYE.
Okay, we weren't even going to come close to that. I'm going to go with Deshaun Elliott, I think.
Yeah, I like that one as well. So I need let me go ahead. Damn, running back wise, I'm wondering. Because it's like I like Aaron Jones, but I love DeAndre Swift, but I feel like I'm biased to him because he's on my fantasy squad. I'm gonna go Aaron Jones just because he's a dual threat. He's a little more, ingrained in who he is rather than DeAndre Swift.
I guess I'm going to go with Jaron Reed as my other end.
Yeah, I don't know about the ends, man. Let's see here. It's Detroit working with. All right, let me grab Charles Harris off the edge. He's an edge rusher from the Lions.
All right. Wide receiver 2. Thielen or Chark? Can't take both lines. I want to go with Adam Thielen.
Well, I just need a linebacker, a tight end, and a quarterback. Who's my first? Jordan Hicks.
Yeah.
So I could go Rashawn Gary, Roquan Smith, or Eric Kendricks. I'm going to whittle it down to Rashawn Gary and Roquan Smith. I'm going to go Rashawn Gary on the winning defense. Let's go there.
that just Gary?
Yeah, just Gary.
All right. CB2. Boy.
They're scarce, man. This was hard. I'm not gonna lie to you.
I guess I'm gonna go with Eric Stokes.
This was hard, bro.
Yeah, I'll go Eric Stokes. All right, Scotty. Well, I can just pinpoint this down for you now. You're going
Yeah.
Kirk Cousins?
Yeah, Kirk Cousins. You can plug that one in.
All
And
right.
it's going to be between Robert Tunyon and Cole Kmet for me. But you can go ahead and make your pick while I figure that out.
My last D tackle. Wow. Damn, a lot of them play a 3-4. That's why. Well, two of them do. So who are your? You have Clark and Brockers.
Clark and Brockers, yeah.
All right, I guess I'm just gonna go Justin Jones.
Yeah. I wish I could help you out.
Scotty's final pick. His tight end.
Sir. It's gonna be Cole Kmet. Let's get it. I don't know. This team looks like some ass, man.
Get that picture in there first.
Oh my goodness!
Wow. All right, so there you have it, everybody. Team Dylan versus Team Scotty. We'll get that pulled out later today or early tomorrow for you guys. Our NFC. Well, actually,
next week.
We should probably wait until it airs on Sunday. Our NFC North 2022 all team right here. I have Aaron Rodgers, Dalvin Cook, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Adam Thielen, TJ Hawkinson, Aiden Hutchinson, Jerron Reed, Dalvin Tomlinson. Who did I just take? Josh Jones?
Justin Jones? I don't remember.
Darius Smith, Preston Smith, Adrian Amos, Deshaun Elliott, Jair Alexander, and Eric Stokes. Team Scotty is Kirk Cousins, Aaron Jones, Justin Jefferson, Jameson Williams, Cole Kmet, Robert Quinn,
Charles
Harris, Kenny Clark, Jordan Hicks, Gary, Harrison Smith, Eddie Jackson, Johnson, and I'm not even going to try that one.
And here we are.
There we are. Everybody, thank you so much to whoever is going to watch this when it airs on Sunday. And if you guys watch it after that, that's fine as well. Just make sure you hit that comment section up in our Facebook or YouTube channel. If you haven't subscribed already, please like the video and hit that subscribe button on our YouTube channel. We're working towards our goal of 600 subscribers. We're almost there. We just need you guys' help a little bit more. Check us out on Twitter at DSM_media. Scotty, anything else for the people?
Who do we got next week, division wise? Where are we going? You can decide right now.
Let's go south.
All right, South.
We'll head on over to the AFC South.
Let's get it. Visit the Colts and the Texans. Ooh.
Davis Mills. Can't wait to talk about it.
That'll be an interesting one. But yes,
see
you guys next week.
Season 2, episode 3 of Turf Talk. I'm one half of your host, Dylan. You can check me out on Twitter at DylanJD98. Check my co-host out on as well at Scotty Drowned. Everybody have a fantastic Sunday and enjoy the rest of it. Have a good one.